Hello, this is Diego from the School of Political Science and Economics.
Hello, I'm Kazusa Aizawa from School of International Liberal Studies. Today we will make a presentation about aging society and globalization. First, Diego will discuss about what's the globalization and how does it relate to aging society.
Before looking over the agenda, let's define what globalization is. Globalization means a trend in which the cross-border flow of people, goods, money, and information is becoming more and more active. Globalization occurs in various fields: economy, society, culture, transportation, telecommunication, and so on, and has great influence on each field. This is our agenda. First, I'll talk about the relation with aging society and global economy. Then I'll mention aging society and developing countries. After that, Kazusa will give consideration to the case of EPA among Japan and Southeast Asian countries. Then she'll summarize the problems of the program of EPA and suggest some solutions for them. Finally, we will conclude our presentation by proposing a way to cope with aging society in Asia as a whole. First, I'm going to talk about aging society and global economy in Asia. Please look at this graph. It shows a change in percentage of people over 65 in some countries. This longer row means the ratio of population over 65. When the ratio of people over 65 will reach 30%. We compare the one of Sweden with those of Asian countries. As you can see, the gray arrow, which stands for Sweden, is much longer than others. So it's obvious that the aging in Asian countries is going on quite rapidly compared to European countries. Then, why is aging in Asia going on so quickly? We made a hypothesis that the economic growth and globalization cause aging society and declining birth rate. To show these relations, we used least square regression model. We picked up birth rate, income from abroad, and population over 65 as variables, and compare these variables with GDP. The result is here. From this chart, it can be said that birth rate and population over 65 have significant relation with GDP. So, we might say that when a country's GDP increases, that will bring its societies aging. In addition, many Asian countries owe their economic growth to globalization, the expansion of foreign trade. Thus, it can be said that globalization gave a boost to the economic growth in Asia and that brought about the aging society. However, you might think that society's aging isn't a big issue in most Asian countries, and it is happening only in a few countries in Asia, like Japan and Korea. It is true that in few countries where the ratio of people over 65 is currently high. However, that doesn't mean other countries have nothing to do with aging society. If a country is aging, that will affect other countries' labor force market, as in a globalized society, the cross-border migration of labor happens quite frequently. Also, there's a great possibility for these countries to expand aging society in the future. As I mentioned before, GDP and aging have a correlation. As many Asian countries are now developing, it supports that these countries will be also aging in the near future. So other countries' aging also have influence on a country which is not yet aging. Therefore, we can say that aging society is a global social problem. Then, is it a negative problem? The answer is no. Aging society is not just a negative problem. Next, Kazusa will explain this issue more in detail, focusing on the case of EPA among Japan and East Asian countries as a case study.
From now, I will explain how an aging country acts for this problem with other developing countries as a case study. And after that, I will investigate and conclude our proposal. Japan is a country that has a problem of decreasing birth rate and of aging population since 1995. Now, this country plays a leading role of this problem in the world. Then, Japanese governments and some other Southeast Asian countries started up the program of receiving and sending care workers and nurses through Economic Partnership Agreement, they call EPA. According to the Ministry of Social Affairs of Indonesia, this program does not only focus on the demand for the labor of social welfare and healthcare services, but also it can be helpful for people who are struggling with poverty. Now we can say aging society has a huge potential of the new global market and large global labor force. However, this problem has several problems. See this figure. As you can see, the number of people who went to Japan through EPA program is decreasing. At first, about 300 people went to Japan, but now only 100 people did. Why does it happen? The answer is inefficiency. First, the system of this program itself has several negative effects. To join this program, every people need to graduate from fourth-year university or get the certification from their home country. In addition to this, for nursing course, people are required to have actual experience more than 3 years. And after that, they have to take a Japanese language training and take a state examination to get a certification from the Japanese government. To finish this program, it takes more than 10 years. Is it really for poor people? And said, is it really make people want to work in Japan? As a second point, the gap of objectives between each actors has also negative impact. First, for the government, through EPA, they try to build a good relationship with each country, and also they want to stimulate their labor market for social welfare and health sector. And for the hospital and school, they just want to test the case of receiving foreigners in the future. And for the participants of this program, they are eager to learn higher skills, get more salary, and get more opportunities. Apparently, these differences seem to be effective, but actually this gap makes inefficiency. For example, the rate of successful candidates of the state examination of Japan is only 11.4%. It means that only 10 to 30 people can work in Japan. Before I go to conclusion, I want to investigate our proposal. As Chieko said, aging society is now a global social problem, and it's one of the process of economic growth. Rapid economic growth caused rapid transformation of aging society, and in Asia it's especially obvious. But at the same time, still there are developing countries that have huge human resources. And for the summary of the case study, we focus on the low rate of successful candidate and its efficiency. Especially we approached for the system of state examination. As a solution, we suggest that making a common or similar exam system among Asian countries or EPA would be helpful to reduce language difficulty and time consumption. Eventually, we still have found some advantages of international cooperation for aging societies through the case of EPA program. For receiving country, not only get more workers, this program helped to make a more comfortable society for overaged people, and make a good relationship between mutual countries. For the sending country, this program will be good training for unskilled people, and international migration can make international monetary transaction more active. And the most important point is reverse brain drain. When skilled people return to their home country, the country will grow more. And those things accelerate globalization in Asia. As a conclusion, aging countries' technology, knowledge, and huge market, and developing countries' huge human resource can be mutual aid for aging society. And this transaction will promote regional cooperation in Asia. Then we want to say aging society is an inevitable process of economic growth, so say that it's a kind of positive issue. The important thing is not to avoid aging society, but to promote adjusting the style of society itself. Thank you for listening.